Hi, friends. Welcome to Beyond Brokenness. This is Abby Watson, and you're listening to our short devotional series called Just a Word. In each episode, we'll take one word or a simple thought and look at it through the lens of Scripture, letting God use it to remind us, teach us, and shape us right in the middle of everyday life. Here's Alicia with today's word.
Hello, my friends, and thank you for joining me today. We have been walking through a series of words that are weighty, honest, and soul-shaping that define this journey of suffering and sanctification, the stepping stones when tragedy strikes your life. And we've talked about being divided, about trying to control what we cannot, about dying to ourselves, about following Jesus, about trusting God in the dark. And today we come to a word that feels like an exhale, but not always an easy one. And that word is surrender. Now, it's not the same as giving up. It's not the same as passive acceptance. And it's definitely not just rolling with the punches. Surrender is active. It's deliberate. It is the willful laying down of our will, not because we've lost, but because we've come to know the one whose will is so much better than ours. The word surrender itself may not appear often in our English Bibles, but the idea saturates Scripture. In Hebrew, the idea is wrapped up in the word that means to yield, to humble oneself, to submit. And in Greek, it shows up in words that mean to arrange oneself under another's authority. But beyond those words, it's the posture that we see over and over again in Scripture. People falling down, bowing, lifting their hands, yielding control, not out of defeat, but out of devotion. Many of us live in a place we think is surrender, but it's actually just resignation. We say things like, well, this is just how it is, or I guess this is my cross to bear. That's not surrender. That's survival. Surrender isn't a slumped-shouldered sigh. It's a hands-open release. It's a decision to place the weight of your pain, of your plans, of your expectations into God's hands. Not because you're okay with what's happening, but you trust who He is in it. Before Jesus endured the whip, the nails, and the mocking, He surrendered in a garden. Matthew 26:39 says He fell on His face and He prayed, saying, "Oh, my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as Thou wilt." Jesus didn't pretend it was easy. He didn't push away the weight of grief. He fell on His face. He sweat blood. He wept. He pleaded. But then He surrendered. Not my will, but yours. And because He surrendered, we are saved. We don't fall into surrender. We fight our way to it. Like Jacob wrestling with God and saying, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." Like Hannah pouring out her soul at the altar and then handing Samuel back to the Lord. Like Job reeling between "cursed be the day I was born" and "though he slay me, I will trust him." Surrender is not polished. It is not emotionless. It's messy. It's real. And it often begins in anguish. The moment you surrender is not the moment your pain disappears, but it is the moment you stop being the only one carrying it. 1 Peter 5 says, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that He may exalt you in due time, casting all your care upon Him, for He careth for you." Psalms 37 says, "Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in Him, and He shall bring it to pass." That word, commit, in Hebrew means to roll your burdens onto the Lord, to shift the weight from your shoulders to His. Let's be clear. Surrender does not mean you stop grieving. It doesn't mean the loss doesn't still sting. It doesn't mean you're happy about the pain. It just means you're no longer fighting God over it. And there is so much rest in that. Not ease, but rest. Not absence of sorrow, but presence of peace. Because you know He's still writing your story, and you trust Him with the pen. So what does surrender look like in real life? It looks like laying down your expectations of what you think life should have been. It looks like opening your hand on the outcomes you were begging for. It looks like saying, even if not, you are still good. It looks like breathing deep and whispering, I don't have to control this anymore. My friends, that is not weakness, that is worship. But you won't surrender to a God you don't trust. And that's why these words we've been walking through, they build on each other. We let go of control. We learn to trust His character. And only then can we truly surrender our will. Surrender is the door to peace, but trust is the key that unlocks it. And ultimately, surrender is not a one-time moment. It's a lifestyle, a daily choice, sometimes a moment-by-moment one. Paul said, I die daily. Romans says to present our bodies as living sacrifices. And Jesus said, take up your cross and follow me. The Jesus life is the surrendered life. You might be holding on right now with white-knuckled fists. You might be exhausted from trying to make sense of it all. Angry, afraid, numb. My friends, may I challenge you, let go. Not into nothingness, not into the void, but into the hands of the God who sees you, who knows you, and loves you. The same hands that carried the cross can carry you too. We must surrender. Until next time, my friends, God bless.
Thank you for joining us today on Just a Word. If you would like to find out more about Alicia Ragan and her ministries, please visit us at www.voiceforthevulnerable.org.